Hello, Ed Worley. Julia saying howdy. I think that's her message. I also see that Jonathan Frank is with us. David James over in Sausalito. Pedro, foiling sailor, training in CID knee. So, Sydney. Glad to hear you're feeling a little better, Pedro. Peter Stevenson, of course. Jay Rendell, good afternoon from White Bear Lake up in Scout Country this time of year. Iceboat country in the winter, our northern hemisphere winter. Hi, Graham Sweeney. Let's get this one off the dock.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District. Local paper. Did you see that article, Julia, about they identified all the neighborhoods, and there was the neighborhood of the best restaurants and bars, and there was the neighborhood where you only, like the Tenderloin, you only go if you want to have good Vietnamese.
Yeah.
See what they call the marina?
No.
Frat Central. All the frat boys and girls here. Welcome to 544, Sailing Illustrated's twice a week live show. My co-host Julia Vatican is here as well over at her desk. And a lot of you folks are on from around the world. Jonathan Frank, who's normally in Texas when he's not flying for United Airlines, saying hello from Tokyo. I can now fully sympathize with Jody and Hamish and Alistair and the others down under having to endure this early hour. Gordon Smith's in Denmark, as usual, home at last. Fritz Mueller in Miami, and lots of others are on. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. And this Friday in August, the middle really of August, the 12th, not quite the middle. I'm your host, of course, Tom Eamon. I can turn off the lower thirds, I think, for the rest of the show as we get into the pre-start. This nice photo courtesy of John Emmett, whose report is forthcoming, and the Castle Cove Sailing Club in Weymouth in GBR. Thanks also to Andrew McUrban, Mr. Dr. Andrews, Secretary General of the IMA, the International Maxi Association. He was, of course, our special guest on Tuesday, where we talked about
COVID, cows, and
County Cork.
Oh, County Cork. Yeah.
County Cork.
Yeah.
County Cork up in Ireland. And we're going to have a report on the 505 Worlds from County Cork. Thank you, Andrew. It was had a lot of views.
And always it was very
2 hours.
Very informative and fun.
Great fun. And now some of the FOSIs have checked in. This is Christopher Gillingham, who is normally in Leamington. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure because we were back and forth on whose pictures were whose. That is Christopher on the right, and his friend Brian driving his boat. I'm not sure where, but Christopher, and I believe Jane's with him, they were over in Normandy in France, and he said they're going to miss the show today live. Ahoy, Tom, I shall miss the show this evening as we are cruising back across the ditch, departing Normandy and heading for the Solent. Fair winds to you, Julia, and the FOSI. CG Christopher Gillingham sent along some nice pictures from either last night or the night before as they were departing, some fireworks in the port. And look at this shot.
Ah, that's wonderful.
Now, is he heading, I don't know when this was taken, if it was on his way over there, so it's a sundown, or if this is heading back today, and it's a sunrise, but a beautiful shot nonetheless. Thank you to our FOSIs, Christopher and Jane Gillingham, are almost always on here live watching from their home in Leamington on the south coast of the UK. Much, much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who this is, Julia? It's another FOSI, and he said he was inspired by that crutonic photo of me that Meg had found
right
30 years ago. Well, this is likewise. This is from 1986, so even almost 40 years ago, isn't that? That's our FOSI Ed Worley as a youth, helping as a volunteer to prepare Newport Harbor's Eagle.
Aha.
Their challenge for the 86-87 America's Cup down in Frio. And the boat was not particularly fast, and it became known as, do you remember? Beagle. Beagle. Thanks, Ed. Really nice photo. And yeah, Gordon Smith thinks that was a sunset in a minute ago, but do you know, Julia, what day it is today?
I'm only because I looked.
You saw it when we did a quick tech check.
Yeah.
I got to skip over these slides.
Elephant.
World Elephant Day, and I'm not going to say anything more about it than that. It's World Elephant Day, and I don't want to go into one of Tom's, what do we call those? When I go off the beaten path, tangential Tom, but it is World Elephant Day. It's a nice thing. I mean, these are beautiful animals. They're smart. They're family oriented, beautiful, smart, and apparently their reputation for memories. It's true. They have a great memory,
and their tusks have been taken.
Sad thing, and that's got to be sorted out. But this is not a political statement, Julia.
Nope.
It's not about the grand old party.
Nope.
Who in this country uses the elephant as its, what's the word I want?
Mascot.
And the Democrats use the donkey. Do you know what happened on this day in history? 1851.
We know that year.
What happened on this day in history? I'll give you a clue. It is not.
It is not the America's
the running of the America's Cup.
Oh,
that happened on the 22nd, 10 days hence.
Oh.
1851. Julie Aaron's saying about the elephants, they're also very emotional. Gordon Smith knew it was World Elephant Day. Hello, Chris, actually. Back to our This Day in History. Here's your first clue.
Ooh, isn't he cute? Ooh.
Any idea? We'll see who gets it. Somebody will have Googled it and we'll be on here. Hi, Alistair Murray, who's up early. It's 0600 there in Melbourne. Yeah, those were spectacular pictures, John. And Jonathan Frank, while we're seeing if anybody knows who this is, Jonathan Frank whenever he's aloft up, he is, there's David James has it first. Jonathan Frank sends these marvelous pictures of where he is, he says it never gets tiring of going over the North Atlantic and seeing a sunrise over, coming from Europe. But he's in Tokyo today, so he must have gone the other direction, I assume. One can only assume. But back to our This Day in History, Jonathan Frank has it. Patent on the sewing machine was issued. The America was installing its motor, the Out America.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Hi, Don Lunabos up in Sonoma. Emotional, intelligent, nice family animals. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the
Heffalumps.
The elephants. Well, this he's a bit rotund, but was Isaac Merritt Singer.
I didn't know his name ever.
Well, you know the Singer sewing machine.
Of course.
Right? So he was lived for 4 years, 1811 to 1875. So during the America's Cup. Now this guy started out as an actor, and his acting career didn't go very well, so he became an inventor. And after he invented a couple things, including the sewing machine, or at least got the first patent on it, other people working on it. And was quite a successful businessman, but he did more than that. He's like Benjamin Franklin, Julie. He was the father of our country in more ways than just the Declaration of Independence. This guy was too. He made important improvements in the design of the sewing machine and was the founder of what became one of the first American multinational businesses, the Singer sewing machine. And as it turns out, he went across the pond apparently to escape paternity suits and one of his many wives and girlfriends and something, and started up another Singer company over there, and then was manufacturing, I think, in Scotland or Ireland, one or the other. Many others, including Walter Hunt, Elias Howe, had patented sewing machines before Singer, but his success was based on the practicality of his machine, the ease with which it could be adapted to home use, and its availability, like Henry Ford and his Model T, availability on an installments payment basis. He did his own financing long before that was fashionable. Singer died in 1875, millionaire, dividing his $13 million fortune. What's that worth today? But it's worth a lot of money. Unequally among 20 of his living children by his wives and various mistresses, although one son, who had supported his mother in her divorce case against Singer, received only $500. Altogether, Julie, you can read that.
Yes, he fathered 24 children.
That they know of.
That they know of.
You know, that's when
Or maybe that he knows of.
when they ask me, well, everybody knows I have a daughter Meg, but
Right.
how many children? Do you have any other kids? Not that I know of. Right?
I know.
That's the famous one.
I always say that too.
Yeah, well, not that you never know. Some they could have come down in a UFO and scraped your ovaries and taken your eggs, and
Right.
who knows what croutons they could have
I
produced.
know.
Or brilliance. Maybe David James is your son, as smart as he is, and went to Stanford.
Yeah.
The Singer machine, August 12th, 1851, so 10 days before the America's Cup was run, AC0 around the Isle of Wight. It's the earliest model that was in the patent filing, and this was reproduced from Scientific American on November 1st to the November 1st, 1851 issue. Now that is a later version.
Yep.
What do you call it? Treadle? What do you call that?
Yeah, it was a treadle. I had one.
You had one.
Because my grandmother had one,
Well,
which I got.
I was going to say my grandmother,
Yeah.
I think my mother's mother had one. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And I remember playing with it as a kid.
Mhm.
So, this is in the 1950s.
Yep.
So there it is. On this day in history, I.M. Singer, he may have fathered some more kids, but he was granted a sewing machine patent, the first and probably not the first, but the most practical of them all. Jonathan Frank, I wonder where he got the idea. To me, he resembled his invention. Yeah, Jonathan Frank, you can wave, shake. Look at this! Shake your finger at Jonathan Frank. Do you see that?
Oh, that's a straightforward question.
I wonder where he got the idea for the motion of the needle.
Right.
Right?
Right. By watching a machine. I know that.
Who knows? I mean, I would. This is not even a joke, but I would say that maybe a lot of women were attracted to him because he had that magnificent beard, and maybe. Yeah.
Maybe he was generous.
Well, maybe he was generous, but maybe they liked the idea of his sewing machine. They could
Absolutely.
make clothes, and he was, that was a big thing to be able to can food and make clothes and be self-sustained.
It was the first machine I ever sewed on.
One of the Singer children, this is, I guess, J. Frederick Bland, Facebook user. One of the Singer children owned quite a bit of the shoreline on Lake Otsego in upstate New York, Cooperstown, where the Baseball Hall of Fame in this country is located.
Is it?
David James telling us that 15 mil in 1875 is 404 million today. So he had quite a bit of money to distribute. Only $500 to the kid that wouldn't support him.
Well, he's allowed to do that.
Yes, we've become Fertility Illustrated, God forbid. Pearl's a singer. Good evening from Sweden, Anna Bergqvist. Yeah, the phonograph, I don't know, David, I saw that too, but we've covered that before. If you do enough of these shows over 5 years, you never quite know what we've covered. I have to go back and get Clark Chapin to do us a spreadsheet on what days this day in history we've covered. Let's get to the starting line, shall we?
Chris X, I said he really sowed his wild oats.
He really sowed his wild
S-E-W.
oats. That's pretty clever.
It is.
Julie Aaron said the women liked his wallet. The starting line with our coach's corner leading the way as usual. John Emmett checks in with this report early this morning. Have a look.
Good morning, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI. I say good morning because this was recorded, yes, pretty early in the morning. And the expression we have is the early bird catches the worm. I always think about July and August being sea breeze month, but this hasn't really happened. So my heart goes out for the poor little topper sailors who you can see in the background. Long day on the water for a few races, as it were. And that's just one of those things, we all complain about the weather. Nobody does anything about it. But we can look at weather models and have an expectation about what's going to happen. And we know that first thing in the morning, we have a good gradient breeze. And this is important because it means that we can train then. So maybe you wouldn't be racing at 7 a.m. in the morning, but we can train, especially if we believe that's the only wind we're going to have in the day. Northeast gradient on the south coast of the UK is by far the worst gradient for the sea breeze we're likely to get this time of year. Northwesterly is much better. So this in mind, this is probably the only opportunity to go sailing. So yes, off we go. Hopefully see you at the show. I'm all rigged, just need to get into a wetsuit, and this is me. So just think we should all take every opportunity we have to go sailing.
Yes.
The early bird catches the worm, Julia.
Yes.
Pindar's saying that's one hell of a 6 a.m. shadow, John Emmett. It's a 6 p.m. shadow, isn't it?
No, he says it's early.
Well, I know, but the reference to a shadow is 6 p.m. shadow. You have a shadow. I used to have a shadow by noon. Heavy black beard. I couldn't do television interviews, but John's he's got full growth there. Thanks, John. Yep, Stingray saying that's great. Stinger. Speaking of Stingrays, Facebook user saying Singer was needle about his indiscretion.
Yes, it's nice.
Son got stitched up. Thank you, John. Now here's a photo he sent through of the wind from a wind sensor there at the Olympic sailing venue from early this morning. And you can see that at 0300 or maybe at 0400 is probably when it peaked. And then it's been dropping off ever since. So he recorded that early this morning between, I think, 6 and 9 when this is circled. Mm-hmm. And now they may get a little more sea breeze, but that's only 10 knots. So that's why he was up early, the dedicated coach that he is, training away. And that's John Emmett's report for today. John Emmett sailing, get to the front of the fleet. He's noticed he's not wearing any branded shirts anymore because he knows I'll run some kind of a Levi's commercial or a Calvin Klein commercial.
He did have writing on it, and I just couldn't quite read it.
The video came in, but it wasn't really anything that I could make a joke about. At least, I wasn't clever enough to do that. Vampire Tribble shows up again. That's his mic, and it's got it's a wireless mic. You could see he was in the video. You could see he was shooting that himself. It was on a stick. Being held away from him. And that's it's not easy to do.
No.
To walk, talk, pat your head and rub your belly, or is it rub your head and pat your belly, whatever.
And talk, yeah.
And chew gum.
Yes.
But he's running, he's talking. And the beauty of these new wireless mics, there's 3 or 4 different, as Jody and others will know, that are really quite good. You have to put batteries in them, and they're futzing around, and just when you do a big cut,
yeah,
you run out of batteries. Big take.
But you learn the timing of that.
Well, you do, but you're never quite sure. Sometimes they run out. Baton Rouge, Baton Cannon, Alinghi's boat is a mule recycled boat and not an AC-40. Yes, it is. No, it's not a mule. It's an AC. It's a big boat.
65.
65 or 75, the last ones were. No, it's the big one, and it was TNZ's boat 1 last time. So it's a full-scale boat, and they wrote a special rule in to attract the Alinghi in, saying if somebody buys one of the original boats of one of the teams from the last AC-36, they could actually go sailing in advance of the deadline when the other teams, the experienced teams, could go, say, the veteran team. So that's a good move. I tell you, that team's going to be good. Alinghi is, the Swiss. Mm-hmm. Vampire Tribble. So that was back on that microphone with the little wind gasket on it, the wind screen. Anna Berkfist, hello, your show always takes place when it's bedtime here, but I will struggle to stay awake. Come on, Anna, it's Friday night there. UTC, what is it, 2219? Have an akavit and stay up with us to get some sailing updates. We appreciate your joining us.
Or record it and watch it when you wake up.
Well, she doesn't have to record it. It's there. She can just watch it on demand.
But if she falls asleep in a half hour, she can hit the rest of it later.
Well, she doesn't have to record it, though. It's just on demand on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever you'd like to look at it.
That's exactly right.
Sailing restrictions on sailors, Ed Worley is asking. Good morning. Jody's up at Airlie Beach, race week day 2. So they have Airlie Beach race week, then they go across to Hamilton Island. The sailing time restrictions in the AC is Crutonic. Yeah, they're trying to save money. They're trying to cost cuts, and it's like government tax policy. You put in one of these rules, and then the laws of unintended consequences kick in, and all sorts of things that you never imagined would happen, and unfairness, and the fewer the rules, the better. And think about that, because how brilliant the deed of gift was.
Yes.
When you go back to that piece of paper 4 typewritten pages, couple handwritten pages from 1857. It was written in 1852, was adopted in 1857 by New York Yacht Club. But when you go back to that, the barest of rules, and look at what happened in 2010. It was a superb match between a trimaran and a catamaran.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, had it been a little bit different wind conditions, or if there had been something that had happened to one of those boats, brilliant stuff. That's the fewer the rules, almost always the better, as a libertarian myself.
And box rules.
And box rules. Replying to Stingray, what does the design package entail? Speaking of Scandinavia, the international Canar champs in Copenhagen right now. Yes, David James, they wrap tomorrow, Saturday. They're flying back Sunday, and some of my team for the members show up at the Stag Cruise, David, are flying back. I got to get them their lines for their, guess they're in the show that I'm producing for the Friday members show up at the St. Francis Stag Cruise. And I'm thinking about writing Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin into that show.
Oh, that would be
some
good.
kind of a cameo appearance.
That would be good. He'd like that. Yeah, he'd have fun doing that, I think.
See. Conditions have been rough off Barcelona. Lingy has still not tried sailing boats here. Yeah, rough. We're going to talk about that in a moment when we get to it, but let's go to the 505 Worlds, which are taking place. It's been light, as Andrew McIrvin told us on Tuesday, and as all of you living there know, it's been really light across Europe for now many weeks, and the 505 Worlds are no exception. They do now have a championship. They have enough races. I think they've completed 4 races, which was the minimum for a valid championship, and now they just need a champion. Here's where it stands as of tonight, Friday night, with 1 day tomorrow remaining. After 2 days without enough wind and a lay day, day 5, delivered with 3 additional races, that's today, completed to reach the magic 4 race mark to constitute a valid world championship. Stuart McNay and Caleb Payne of the USA, who've been leading all along, made the most of the light breeze. They seem to be very good in the light. To add a 1-2-1 to their score and lead overall with 5 points. In second are the British pair, Nathan Batchelor and Sam Pascoe, 3-1-2 with 10 points, and third, Peter Nicholas and Luke Payne, 4-3-7 from Australia on 22 points. Rounding out the top 6 are Germany's Jan Philipp Hoffmann and Felix Bruckerhoff on 27 points, and Morgan Pinkney, our FOSI, and we're cheering for him, and Garrett Brown of the USA with 38 points, and Britain's Ian Pinnell and Carl Schmidt on 43 points. Interestingly, the defending world champions are not in the mix, and they like, it's Mike Martin, and I forgot his regular cruise name, but they train here at St. Francis Yacht Club in the big breeze and the waves here at San Francisco Bay, and I think they like a little more breeze than they've had at this regatta. That prose courtesy of Gerald New of sailweb.co.uk. Thank you, Gerald. Pulled that off his website this morning. There is the aforementioned FOSI Morgan Pinkney, who's been on the show, sailed in the Gov Cup, was third in the Gov Cup last year, then won the U.S. Youth Match Racing Championship. He's new at match racing, then a fleet racer and a collegiate sailor and high school sailor, now a laser sailor, and now a 505 sailor. He's standing in 5th place. Mm-hmm. FOSI Morgan Pinkney of the Newport Harbor Yacht Club. Okay, so enough about the 505 Worlds. They hopefully are going to have 3 races tomorrow, Saturday. We'll review the final standings on Tuesday. Bravo Zulu here to the OK Dinghy class, and thanks J. Frederick Bland and also to Robert Deves, who've been keeping me apprised. You know, people wonder, Julie, why we cover some events and not others.
Yes. When
the guys and gals from the class send the stuff to me.
And it's good.
And it's good, and there are photos, and there are
names.
Captions with the names of the sailors.
Right.
It makes it easier for lazy journos like me to put the pictures in here and produce a show, because you know it takes a good day to produce the show. There's 100 slides and lower thirds and transitions and yada yada. I'm not complaining, but everything they can do to make it easier for any of us that are doing this.
Better chance.
So let's see what we've got here. Beautiful pictures from Robert Deves, who also handles the Finn class and 1 or 2 others, the 5.5 meter class, I think. And this is going on in Marstrand, or did go on in Marstrand. It wrapped up tonight, Friday. They've just had the prize giving, the 2022 OK Dinghy Worlds, won by first-time winner Charlie Cumbly from Great Britain. He is the new OK World Champ, and we have a terrific video produced by the class and sent just before we went to air. Have a look.
obviously the forecast for the last day was suspect in the fact there wasn't much breeze forecasted. But you're always trying to make yourself ready that you're going to go out for a race, sort of expecting, and whether it's going to be one race or two races, there's only one discard. So obviously with only 0.4 of a point ahead of Nicholas and 7 points in front of Lars, it was like, it's not like you could take it down to a match race. It was all too close, particularly in a venue like this. So I was trying to keep myself sort of ready and fired up for it. And then of course when they sent us out on the water, you know, you're sailing out and it was pretty light. And I'm thinking, wow, if they're sending us out, then they think we're going to race in this. At that point, I was like, okay, right, could be an interesting one, you know, this could be all on. And so then obviously, yeah, sitting around for 2 hours or whatever out on the water, just looking at it going, wow, there's a lot of holes, or there's a little bit of breeze coming in. Trying to keep yourself motivated to go racing, but equally going, wow, this is going to be pretty sketchy if we do that. So amazingly happy now. Really, I'm super happy to have won, and it's been a great event. And to finally kind of had a second, a third, and a fourth at the Worlds, and I'm glad to have sort of ticked it off and not got a fifth, but got a first and carried on the series. So yeah, it's been an amazing week, and I'm absolutely thrilled. Not really until yesterday, if I'm honest, because. Like each day, like the first day, I felt really rusty, but was sort of in it, you know, marginally. And then the next day was kind of my perfect conditions, I guess. And the two middle days were really nice, and I felt really quick and pretty strong. And then you're like, oh, this is, you know, let's see how this goes. And yesterday was really about hanging in there. It was super tricky yesterday. So yeah, it was just kind of hanging in there to be in a position to kind of fight it out today, really. Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, I mean, I'm 41 now, and I've done a fair few dinghy events over the years, and although plenty of nationals under the belt, never had a world. So it's a pretty special feeling to finally get one tucked away, and particularly in the OK, like it's been a bit of a thing in mine, you know, the single-handers, and yeah, it's great. Come and see the guys that I've been racing around for the last sort of 5 or 6 years. It is really nice, and come back and win it here was amazing. So I mean, it was coming here was really all about putting a line in the sand for Lyme Regis, and that was where I was going to put my focus in, and you know, like I say every year, do some training and do some time on the time in the boat. And
okay, well, you get the idea. This guy is one of these guys who represents our sport beautifully, at least on video. I'm sure he does in person as well. I don't know him. But you want to go have a beer with him?
I was going to say I'd like to have a conversation with him. Yeah.
And he's they've got it in the OK Worlds are in the UK next year, but at 41 to win in a very tough class, there wasn't much breeze, but nonetheless, I commend this whole video to you. Go have a look at it, and bravo Zulu to the gentleman and to all of the top 10. Not only Charlie Cumbly, but have a look at this group. There's some women, not many, racing in this, but the OKDIA is, I guess that's J. Frederick Bland is saying, the OKDIA is filled with great sailors. And well done at 41, Jonathan Frank saying. So there is the final top 10, Charlie, Nicholas from Sweden, Norway, Denmark, then a bunch of Swedes, Swede, Germany, and France. And there was a Kiwi or two. In fact, the defending champion, if I remember well, is a Kiwi. But again, I think the light favored people who had a little, maybe an older guy at 41 can do better. Why are you laughing? In the lighter going.
Yeah.
But great class, great sailors, great PR. Bravo Zulu to all of them. And of course, it was up in Marstrand in Sweden, and that's perhaps why you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Swedes in the top 10. Bravo Zulu to them as well. Shall we get to the America's Cup news here? AC 37, which is scheduled to be held in Barcelona, Spain, one of my favorite cities in the world. Too bad there's not much wind there. And there's a beautiful article out today on the website by Magnus, our FOSI and longtime friend Magnus the Magnificent, who's now working for them. I think we broke that news on this show some months ago. And Magnus says, it is said that Barcelona, I'm going to read a good bit from the article because it's a terrific travelogue article. It is said that Barcelona is a city where you can feel the weight of history, and whilst that may be true, reflected in its stunning architecture and proud monuments around every corner, what really shines about modern Barcelona is its vibrancy. That's the Port Olympic, where we hosted the 1996. In fact, those two towers, these apart. There was one. I think there were two of them there then. This is in '92 when we held the Olympics there, and this was the Athletes' Village. These two towers, and that must be a rehab of that tower. And I think they're refurbishing this whole harbor. And right off the breakwater down here on the bottom, this is where we ran the match racing. And I was umpiring the first match racing in the Olympics in the soloing class. And the athletes walked down and walked out. The boats were here. This was around this hard stand. There weren't all these restaurants. Some of these buildings were there, or previous buildings. But now this is a big night spot. Very attractive area and popular area. But the boats, this was the boat park, huge boat park for the Olympic classes. And the athletes from the other events came down and watched our sport down here on the breakwater. And frankly, it was fantastic.
Would be.
So that's the Port Olympic, which to this day is still a big night spot in Barcelona. Further down the coast, Midway, these are excerpts. I pulled out what I think are the most interesting paragraphs for all of you. Midway along the vast stretch of beachfront is the rapidly regenerating Port Olympic, where the AC40 women's and youth setup will be housed. This eco-aware project is well underway with development, and with direct access to the race area will be a thriving center for the new faces of the America's Cup. This is the Real Club Náutico, Barcelona, about which Magnus says, behind the IMAX and facing the panoramic downtown cityscape is the Real Club Náutico de Barcelona, a stunning, prestigious yacht club with impressive pontoon frontage along an apron housing Club J70s and other members' yachts. To the eastern flank of the club is a concreted pontoon for the larger boat moorings, and there are some big classics and moderns nestling under the summer sun. Before the Youth Sailing Academy buildings and dinghy store with direct access to the Marina waterway. It's impressive. Indeed it is. You're right, Magnus. It's modern, but with a huge amount of tradition and a library of yachting books that could keep a historian busy for years. I'll pull that away so you can have another look at the present-day Real Club Náutico. Beautiful facility.
Absolutely. It looks perfect for a regatta setting.
It's except for the wind.
Except for the wind, of course.
Now there is, this is a vibrant modern town, and it's hot in August. It's hot in September. Starts to cool a bit in October. In August, it's hot in Barcelona. The kind of dry heat, it's really not very dry, Magnus. The dry heat that saps energy, but you wouldn't know it from the attitude of the acclimatized locals. The vast beachfront stretching eastwards pretty much as far as the eye can see is a busy, bustling area teeming with life, youthful fun, waterborne, you love his prose, don't you?
I do.
Waterborne hijinks and beach games whilst the promenades are full of electric scooters, skateboarders, cyclists, strolling locals, families, and the youth of Barcelona having fun in the sun. Along the promenade, there are courts for hire to play paddle. Indeed, paddle had, by the time we left Spain 10 years ago, it was
paddleboard.
It's paddle. It's a court game.
Yeah.
Played with paddles. It's become a deal here in the States too.
Pickleball.
It's similar to pickleball, and in Spain it's called paddle. And you're not running all over a huge court, and it's a very popular mixed doubles type game. The hugely popular racket sport, as well as beach volleyball and basketball, or you can hire a windsurfer for a few hours and receive expert instruction. The beach has everything and is an area in constant flux, a feast for the senses. All true. And that, of course, the famous La Rambla. And strolling up La Rambla into the center of town is a must for visitors. A busy city, but the architecture all the way up is changing, bold, brash, colorful panoply that fuses the modern and old with ease. If it first sounds like this is the first time I'm reading this, it's because it is, at least out loud. It's breathtaking in places, and the side streets of La Rambla lead to a maze of intriguing discoveries with shops, eateries, snack joints, and bars to please every taste or palate. but it's a logical place to navigate. And although the traffic is akin to any large city center these days, yeah, it moves and you can get to destinations quickly. It also feels a safe city to it is, to roam and discover, and almost too many attractions, museums, and fabulous architecture to absorb in short order. Take your time, writes Magnus the Magnificent. He wraps the article up. It's a long article. I commend it to you. The American writer James A. Michener famously wrote that, quote, to travel across Spain and finally to reach Barcelona is like drinking a respectable red wine and finishing up with a bottle of champagne, and he's spot on.
Oh, I do love his prose.
You love his prose.
I do.
He finally says Barcelona is the perfect setting for the 37th America's Cup. And as I said, Julia, there's not one mention
Of the wind.
of the wind, because as you could see in all those pictures, there is no wind or very little wind. Now, when we did the Olympics there, and I can't remember if it was late July or early August of '92, there was some breeze. There wasn't a lot, but there was enough breeze to race.
Would you go outside?
Well, we were right off that breakwater for the Soling match racing,
Yeah.
and then a little further out, there were three Olympic circles, I think. 3, maybe 4 Olympic circles by then. I can't remember, because originally there were only, even in '84 we had 4 Olympic circles, I think, where classes went out. So I don't remember.
And the rest of the Olympics are being held where? I mean,
Were they in '92? You mean in
Yeah.
Barcelona? Well, they were in right in town, and those 2 big buildings were the Athletes' Village. So
Yeah,
they
right.
bussed from there to the other venues. They were all right in Barcelona.
oh, that's good.
Barcelona Central. Maybe the equestrian may have been out of town a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the comments here? Ed Worley, beautiful city, but the Cup Series should be in Auckland. Well, you know how I feel, Ed. David James, if we have to watch the AC boat sailing in displacement mode, spectators will be 0. Ed Worley, yep, agreeing with David. Stingray, I only ever see the word whilst in written articles, never hear people speak. No, they do. I hear them speak it. Brits speak it.
Mm-hmm.
While is so much better. I don't know. I say tomato. You say tomato. I say tomato.
I rather like it.
It doesn't bother me.
I wouldn't. It's not natural for me, but
You know,
for those for whom it is, I like it.
If development is well underway, wouldn't that suggest that behind the scenes work has been going on for some time and not just started? No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Will Simpson. I think this really, they didn't know for sure they had it until that announcement. It was rushed around to make the announcement. I'm late. Hello from Cape Town, Ted Ryman. Nice to see you, sir. Have an Airbnb booked there September 2024, Stingray says, but may go next month for a few days since Alinghi is there and just to get out of town. Well, let us know, Stingray, if Alinghi ever sails. Very well written. Ed Worley agreed, totally. Magnus's penning is inspiring me to want to go to Barcelona. His employment was a no-brainer. Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. Peter Taylor, you just need to recruit more gas baggers to help conjure up the wind at BCN. That's the airport code for Barcelona. Very simple. I'm sure you're up to the task. Even I'm not up to that task, Peter. Close, but no cigar. Replying to Ted Ryman, Ted, you missed the Sailing Illustrated Swimwear edition. Yeah, Ryman, we did. If we ever did that, we'd have Ted emceeing it for us. Love the way Magnus writes. I totally agree. I will check it out after the show. Ted Ryman is saying, yeah, well, we didn't. We will see if it's the perfect setting. I hope this is a magnificent cup. I hope there's some breeze. I hope it works well. I hope the French get there. We still don't have any official announcement that the French have announced. I have challenged, although several of you tell me they have, and that they didn't have to pay their money till after their challenge was accepted, and they're now in the process of wiring the money, and we shall see. By the way, there's very, very little news coming out of New York Yacht Club's American Challenge, American Magic, and very little news, if any, coming out of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Alinghi has some.
Well, Alinghi's there. They splashed, and we ran that on the show on Tuesday, so it was pretty good. So that was Magnus Wheatley, our longtime friend, now working for America's Cup 37, writing on americascup.com, and I commend it to you. It's a great article. Well done, Magnus. And now here's an update on the Land Speed Record Project. Have a look.
We just arrived last night at Mount Ive Station. We're basically heading out now to the lake itself, Lake Gairdner. Hopefully the surface of the lake's actually gone down a little bit from what we've seen previously, but we do know that there's still a little bit of water in there, but just going out to check it out and get a bit of a feel as to when we should be coming up here and actually setting up. $70 to 80 mils higher here than it was 4 weeks ago. I think the fact that the water's been sort of sitting further up the lake, and last week it's really been from sort of the northeast even, it's just sort of blown it all down into this southwestern corner, which is where we're obviously trying to operate.
Getting up in the air was absolutely fantastic. Really, to see the vast majority of that dry was sort of super exciting, but then it was also quite frustrating. It was just this really small stretch of water that is actually just down in that southern area.
You've got to be prepared to have, a few setbacks along the way. Mother Nature will provide us the right opportunity when she's ready for this world speed record attempt.
Looks like we're going to have to be patient before we get out on the lake.
Patience, Glenn Ashby. Nice video. Well done. Thanks to Emirates Team New Zealand for supplying that. And when can the AC Challengers start scrimmages? I don't know those rules. I will investigate into those rules. I will look into them and investigate the details and the implications. I'll get Terry Hutch, T. Hutch, or somebody on here who's intimately knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Is he in Barcelona? I don't know, Jonathan Frank. You mean who's in Barcelona? I don't know who you mean. Link Gardner looks perfect these days for airplanes. Yeah. So we'll see when that, if they get, I'm looking forward to that. I'm kind of cheesed up about this land speed attempt.
I know you are.
I hope it happens. At first I thought it was a distraction, a waste of their time and energy. It might turn out to be. They can't do it anytime soon. They got to start to focus on the cup sooner or later.
Well, they will for sure reap some new knowledge, but who it will benefit is another.
Well, I think they'll be okay. We'll see. I'm still optimistic this is good for ETNZ, and it will be interesting for all of us to follow.
Absolutely.
One can only hope.
Yep.
Let's go to Sail GP. Now, you know who that is, Julia? On the right, with his hands, with a Swiss flag on his helmet. That is none other than Nathan Outeridge. Yes.
Aha.
Of course, who's an Aussie, who's married to a Kiwi, Emma Blackman, whose dad ran the Cup back in the 80s, and is an ETNZ, and now he is with Switzerland as the sailing advisor, or so it was. I guess those of you in the UK probably figured this out because you saw him with the team, but it wasn't announced until in the last couple of days on the excellent Sail GP website, where they said former Japan driver Nathan Outeridge has driver, come on, has opened up about the scope of his role advising the Swiss team at the Great Britain Sail GP in Plymouth a couple weeks back. Soon after the news broke that Japan was out of the league, Switzerland appointed Outeridge to the position of sailing advisor to fast track the learnings of the team. That is classic Russell. I mean, this is really a good idea. Bravo Zulu to Russell to make this happen, to get the Swiss team to do this, because this will help them a lot, I'm sure. Smart move by the Swiss.
And we're calling it sailing advisor rather than coach because
I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think they maybe already have a coach.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming, so they are calling him sailing advisor.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Speaking to Sail GP's Deep Dive podcast, everybody's got a podcast now. They're audio podcasts, not video podcasts, sadly. I'm just coming in, quote, he says, I'm just coming in to help as much as I can and really give Seb a platform to work with moving forward. It's not like I'm going to take over the program and make it the Nathan Outeridge Swiss team. He's talking, of course, about Sebastian Schneider, who is the skipper, the driver. It comes after Outeridge joined the Swiss team in Plymouth as a sailing advisor and was spotted driving the team's F50 on practice days while Schneider observed in the 6th sailor position. When asked why new teams might struggle in the F50 fleet, Outeridge said that the boats are just so damn difficult. He didn't say damn, it's not quoted here, but I'm sure. Are so difficult to sail. The racing format, too, which involves tiny starting blocks and hitting the line at pace around the fleet, is tough, Outeridge said. Outeridge, who helped develop the F50 class, and the format, by the way, for the regatta, pointed to the long-awaited triumph of the New Zealand team as they won in Plymouth. You probably will remember, Pete Burling and co., in Plymouth as evidence that the good results take time. Quote, I really saw Pete Burling and the Kiwis put together a good, solid weekend in Plymouth, but it's taken them a year and a half to get there, unquote, he said. Good point. Quote, so we're under no illusion that for Seb and the Swiss team, it's going to take more than a couple of events to be fighting for the podiums. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And bravo Zulu to them.
Yes.
I like what they've done. I'm delighted to see Nathan is there. It's even nicer when he's commentating, but, this is a much higher and better use for him than that. Now, I promise never to talk about this again. And that is, they've run an article just, I guess yesterday, SailGP's chief umpire, Craig Mitchell, the chump, as we call the chief umpire, gives his penalty, not because we think he's a chump. That is umpiring chief shorthand for CHUMP, chief umpire, chump.
Yeah.
His Craig gives his penalty rundown of the Great Britain Sail Grand Prix in Plymouth. Now, he did, and I'm not going to run all the other stuff about this penalty happened. There were something like 20 penalties given, most of them boundary penalties for people going out of bounds, and then they've got to slow down and do their thing. But there was one significant one at the start. I'm not going to bore you with that, of one of the races, maybe even the first race. But we are going to revisit.
Oh, good.
We're going to revisit because we got new video of the incident between Ben and Tommy Slingsby. So this from the article. The most contentious penalty of the weekend, however, occurred on the last day of racing. Great Britain was handed a devastating penalty 200 meters from the finish in the 5th and final fleet race for crossing too close in front of Australia, pushing the team back into 4th after the penalty. It meant the team lost a tiebreak for 3rd place overall with Nikolai Sehested of Denmark, stripping the home favorites a place in the finale. Now, as I said, we now have video that doesn't go up at the wrong moment or doesn't go down to the water level. It stays up in the helicopter and the drone, I guess it's helicopter. Have a look, because this is devastatingly supportive, I should say, devastatingly supportive of the umpires.
Yeah.
Ainsley turns the boat one last time. He needs to cross clear ahead of the Australians to hope to make the final. It's tight. It's really, really tight.
And Great Britain just gets past.
This is the umpire's penalty GBR.
Oh, he's got to drop behind. Oh, he's got to drop behind.
Oh, no. You don't think those British announcers are biased. I don't think they are. They just were cheering for the home team. Now, as you clearly saw, he would have cut it had Tommy Slingsby and the Aussie team kept going straight. He would have cut them in 3. I mean, he would have hit him amidships. He would have gone aboard. There would have been injuries. He would have been penalized for not avoiding a collision and yada, yada, yada. It was terrible. So here is the photo. It's a screen grab that I did from that video you've just seen where all of it's aerial now. And you can see how plain. It almost looks like he's going to hit him in the bow, about a bow. It's still not an overhead shot, Ted Ryman saying from that angle it looks close. Yeah, it does not. It was very close, Ted. What a surprise, Jody Shields, who instantly agreed with the umpires and our assertion. So the article goes on. Driver Ben Ainsley criticized the call, but Mitchell pointed out that, quote, there doesn't need to be contact for someone to be breaking a rule. Yes, you all know that. Quote, if a right-of-way boat has to take avoiding action, and if it's reasonable to take that avoiding action, then the other boat hasn't kept clear, unquote, Mitchell said. Ainsley found fault with the umpire's ghost boat technology, which we showed you on Tuesday's show, a part of the tracking system which allows them to see it projects. It's a 4-second projection of a boat's path, taking into account current direction and speed. However, Mitchell said that part of the software was not, that part of the software was the boat projection stuff, was not the only factor behind the decision. Quote, it's just one of the tools that helps us make a judgment. We're looking at many data points within the tracking software and can also see the incident from multiple TV camera angles to gauge how close the boats get, unquote, Craig Mitchell said. Craig pushed back against Ainsley's criticism, arguing that Great Britain was pressing a high-risk strategy. Quote, it was a really close call, but it was on GBR to keep clear, he said, and if we're not certain the giveaway boat has kept clear, then they will get a penalty in that situation. There's no question about that. And I think the article is correct. You were all correct when I asked you if this call was correct or Crutonic some time ago. Now, I may have been somewhat Crutonic because I thought this was a good move by Ben to cross ahead and risk either getting, the risk of getting clear. They're only 200 plus meters from the finish line. And, maybe they get a bum call out of the umpires. The umpires lets this go or whatever. But I now think seeing this angle, this was such an egregious foul that Ben really should have ducked, gone over here, hoped for something from the left, tacked onto port tack. In the meantime, Tommy comes along here with his Aussie team, maybe sail into some soft air, maybe blow the tack and come back. And now, you got Ben coming across because they're going downwind, Ben coming across on starboard tack, Tommy on port tack, and maybe he would have. So I think the better thing to do would have been to cross astern. And they knew way out there, I guess. They must have known, but who knows? It's really easy to call it 2 weeks later sitting here in a studio.
Yes.
From the vantage point of this video. Now, what do the rest of you say? Jonathan Frank, correct call by the chump. Jody Shields, no surprise at all. He had agreed from the get-go. He agreed, in fact, when we were first airing this on the show, that right after that weekend, he immediately called it. Jody, Stingray, good thing there are no chumpires. Boat Ben could go pirate. You know what that's in reference to? Ben got mad at one of the umpires in the Olympics, and afterwards he sailed over and hopped on the boat.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And luckily he didn't get kicked out of the regatta. Maybe it was a world championship. Maybe it wasn't the Olympics. Good thing there was no chumpires. So why was Slingsby surprised he won the call? I'm not sure he was surprised, Ted. If he did, he was being polite. Everybody needs to pay attention, and these things will not happen, but the call was absolutely spot on point, Julie Aarons. By golly, Julie Aarons and I agree. Well, we often do.
Yes.
She sent a really nice comment after the last show.
Yes, she did.
And Julie, yes, we are friends, and I appreciate your coming on here and speaking your mind like everybody else, whether you agree with me or Julia or not. He who will not risk cannot win. Yeah, okay. Too much hometown pressure on Ben to win. Yeah, I don't think Ben reacts to pressure. I think the guys, having been through a cup with him here in San Francisco when he hopped on and replaced John Kostecki in the back of the boat. Julia, you remember that?
Yes.
Here in 2013.
Right.
And he did that beautifully. He hopped right on. He lifted the team. He wasn't afraid to assert himself in the back of the boat.
Right.
With Jimmy Spithill, and helped lift that team to that big comeback.
Yes.
No question he did. I don't think of course, it was a no-pressure situation. It was a no-lose situation for Ben. Ben gave no quarter. It was the Worlds at Fremantle. Thank you, Alistair Murray. Indeed, it was the Worlds in the Finn class in Frio. What year, Alistair? Do you remember? The wake tells the tale. Clearly had to avoid a collision. Yeah, Fritz Mueller, the only thing that you could argue is that maybe there was a little hunting going on by the starboard tack boat, heating up a little bit to make it even closer than it might have been had he held his course from some point out. But even that is really,
we don't know.
It was too close.
Yeah.
Okay, looking forward to the Sail GP event in Copenhagen. Stingray is saying Denmark looks hot. Stingray is saying, speaking of which, I have a closing slide. I did not rehearse this segue with Stingray. Rockwool Denmark Sail Grand Prix in Copenhagen is the fourth event of season 3. as the most competitive racing on water. Returns to Denmark on the 19th to 20th of August. I think it's hard to argue with that, Julia. I think it is the most competitive.
Right now, I think it is.
And you look at the big names in the sport are all there, and some good, new, young, hot names, hot sailors are there as well. So bravo Zulu to them all. We'll look forward to that. That's the weekend, 1 week hence. Okay. I'm going to stay on SailGP for a minute and run Jody's segment about correct or crotonic. I should be running these past Jody ahead of time to see if he likes our segments.
I know.
I'm sure he hates this lead in, but he's the one that gave us that baby shark music, right, Jody? He did. Okay, this is a video from SailGP they released also this week. It's from the highlights, they say, of season 2. It's the last season, and they're filling the air. I tell you, their website is terrific. Their content is great. There's a lot of content. They're creating a lot of content.
Yeah.
This, I wonder if this is what we really needed to see, if this is going to help bring eyeballs. Their viewership is not that great live or in replay. But tell me, watch the video. It's a bit long, 4+ minutes, and then let's talk about it afterwards and tell us whether it is correct or crotonic, at least in terms of promoting SailGP. Have a look.
It's going to be close. Outridge coming in a lot faster. 20 kilometres an hour to speed. Outridge tries to slide around the outside. Who can re-accelerate quickest? New Zealand must keep clear. New Zealand. Oh, there's going to be a protest. There's going to be a protest on that one.
Penalty New Zealand relative Japan. Penalty New Zealand relative Japan.
And they're going to drag race it to the line. The Kiwis have the lead, but waiting for the penalty that comes on the Kiwis, which will hand the race forward to the Japanese.
The Americans are slow. This is going to be a penalty. Oh my goodness, you can't do that, Jimmy Spittle. And they can do the same to the Brits.
I don't know. Did the French have to avoid there or not? That's going to be a really close and tight one.
To go, they've got space. Can they hit this line fast? Nathan Outridge diving through the middle of the line, but it's Berlin coming charging in at the top. Has he got room? Is it clear? It's very marginal for me. Protest surely on the Kiwis there. Penalty for over the line. Great start from Outridge. Great start from Slingsby, and now it's a sprint to Mark 1.
Now the Aussies come into play, and Tom Slingsby's going to push the issue just a little bit.
He's got to be careful here. He's on the inside. I'm not sure if he got there. I think he got there too late. That's going to go to the umpires, Craig Mitchell. For me, that was too aggressive from Slingsby. He gained the overlap so late.
What are you doing?
Tight at the top here, watching out for the Spanish, no room! Oh, big incident there, surely a protest on the Spanish crew, forcing his way in there on Besson. This is the battle for the final unfolding before us. Besson, he's trickling in. Has he timed it right at this top end of the line? Will there be a gap? Could be disaster for the French. No room. Green there. Clear start. And New Zealand, Sarafagis. Wow, he was so aggressive. Three seconds to go to the starts. The boat turned for the line, look for the line to go wide. It's a clear start. Great start by Outridge, but coming through with pace, it's Tom Slingsby and the Australian crew. Watch them go towards Mark 1.
And a clean start across the board as they hit mark number 1. Look at the speeds. Hitting close to 90, and an incident there as Australia and Denmark come so close together.
I cannot tell you how well Nikolai Sehested did there. That was incredible reactions.
Pride to see Tom Slingsby, the defending champions Australia, who were already into the grand final, racing as tough as they are, as New Zealand almost clips them from behind.
Wow, that was a tight tack there.
Phil Robertson in Spain coming into view. Can they sneak underneath the Kiwis and steal third place? So Japan's going to take second place, and look at this, Phil Robertson with that contact coming.
Oh, Peter Burling must stay clear. It was an aggressive move by Robertson, the match race world champion. Penalty New Zealand
Penalty
again.
New Zealand, win the boat, not keeping clear. Penalty clear.
Wow. Oh my word, the penalty clear as the Spanish have passed, but it's third for Robertson.
Almost looked like there was room.
It's tight. Starboard tackle for Great Britain.
Oh
France and
my.
New Zealand must keep clear.
Another collision.
Oh, the French needed to get out the way there. The Great British boats had the right of way. The Kiwis, oh my lord, another incident. These gusty conditions are catching everyone out.
Okay, you said at one point it almost looks like there's room.
Yeah.
At least you didn't say something like, God, that guy Stingray, what a crouton he is. Julie didn't know her mics were up. But, okay, we'll go to you first. What's your impression?
I'm exhausted after.
That's a good point. That's a good one. Yeah. And the music repeating, and it's like Sports Center's top 10, but it goes on and on. Gordon Smith says, I'm enjoying this. Ted Ryman said it was a great video, exclamation point. John Emmett, as usual, the great coach, is saying New Zealand has improved a lot since. Yep. So much skill at those speeds, Ryman is saying. Julie Aarons, I like it, but those who know nothing about sailing may not understand the verbiage. It shows excitement, but most races don't get that exciting. This music and the sailing set the bar really high. I think that's a really smart observation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and maybe that's why it kind of bugs me a little bit. You know, it's loud. Okay, that's okay, but it's I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
It's part of the high sort of energy tempo.
Well, what they're trying to portray, but
right.
You know, racing is rubbing, and as we say in there, they say I'm not in NASCAR. Pierre de Jong says exciting sailing. Jonathan Frank saying the music was absolutely croutonic. Yeah, I think it's just, I think Julie is right. I think Jonathan's right, at least in my never so humble opinion. It's just a little much. I think if it could be toned down and taken a little more relaxed, I don't think we're ever going to attract people who are looking for NASCAR or Formula One or even soccer type commentating and a sports. I think it's, wow, that was close, and here's why. More like golf and tennis, but tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. NASCAR, car racing is rubbing, yeah. That was J. Frederick Bland. David James, at least they don't cut shots every 1 second. Well, true, David. And I also like, Julia, the replay, showing the incident.
Yes, and then
then replay and show Mo is really good, because the first time you see it, you want to go back and look at it again. And that's, I think, really helpful.
Yeah, I do too.
Baton Kennan, he's changed to YouTube so we can see his real name instead of Baton Rouge. The video production team should add wind sound, like when they add the foot squeaks in a basketball. Do they add the foot squeaks in a basketball game? I thought that was real court sound with the shoes rubbing on the court.
I don't know.
The announcing crew does a good job, Stingray says, mixing the hype guy with the lower key comments by the others filling in. Yeah, okay. And I saw that John said somewhere up higher he loves Stevie's commentary. They have to talk fast because so much happens so quickly. Yeah, it's a little bit of the same in ice hockey. You get talking so fast because the game is so fast and the puck is moving all over the place. And sometimes it's better just to shut the you-know-what up,
and
watch it, and let the puck carry on. And, if you catch, the puck is back there by the defenseman number 5, and, now the puck's way down at the other end with the forward number 7 or the name of the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we haven't gotten it quite yet to where it's, I don't know.
Joe,
Go ahead.
Joe Gould says it's geared to the 20 to 40 crowd. Music and edits and probably a tight budget. And
they've had a long time to produce that. That has been, Joe, I agree with this 20 to 40 crowd. They're trying to attract that, what is it? That's the 20-something to 54 demographic.
I wonder if that is still the age group that's spending.
It is. That is the big the demographic that they like, that all broadcasters. And our demographic is 80 to 100. Not quite. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I would rather listen to the sailor. Ed Worley's makes a good point. I'd rather listen to the sailors on the boats like the AC coverage in the past. Yeah, where the puck are we? Now Stingray said, I lost the sound on the Facebook stream. Yeah, there's something.
Yeah,
We saw complaints here from people about the Facebook stream. I don't know what's up with Facebook. They're having all sorts of problems. And I've noticed that on other things I've watched or tried to watch on Facebook. We're streaming at our usual standard rock solid. We have skipped 5 frames in the last hour and 7 minutes due to rendering lag. 5 frames. Skip frames due to encoding lag, 0. Dropped frames from the network at a bit rate of 5,500 kbs, 162 frames, which is nothing. We've had no internet dropouts. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. Apparently YouTube has been more reliable. And I don't know if YouTube ever gets its commenting thing up to speed, we will go over to YouTube and just skip Facebook because people say, you're only getting 100 or 200 views. And excuse me, if you add up the views that are here, there, and everywhere, we're getting plenty of views. So. SailGP app is great. You can choose to watch and listen to any boat on board live.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Jonathan Frank, the general public does not understand sailing rules, so they may be confused on the penalties, kind of like icing in hockey. Well, I can explain icing to you as an old ice hockey referee. I lose sound on my, okay. Replying to John Emmett, salty sailors. Do ice hockey players all puck off after the game, Gordon Smith? Okay, you guys. Julia, shake your finger at Gordon Smith. No, we go out and have a beer and a sandwich afterwards, generally speaking. So I don't know if it's correct or Crutonic or what you think of that, but at least they're trying stuff. At least they're doing stuff. And it's a great video. It seems a little long after the last season, but still, it's content. And unlike just about everybody else, it's why we celebrate the OK Dinghy class and the 5.5 meter and the fins and the Stars. By the way, the Stars.
Oh yeah,
their 100th World Championship is in a month's time.
Mm-hmm.
My iPad loses sound, not my phone. Well, see, that part of that, Julie Aarons, is some of the devices is because you've got to clear the cache. You got to go in and clear the cache out in your devices because you're consuming. If you watch the show twice a week, you're consuming a lot of video from us at a fairly high, rates, 1080p, 30 frames.
Right.
So if your device is a little older, if you haven't cleared the cache in a while, then it may run out of space to deal with the video. That gets us, speaking of getting us through this, to the D block in record time, and almost record time, hour and 10 minutes, Julia.
Wow.
And get your finger ready.
Uh-oh.
And it's nothing. It's not all that. Come on. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. This picture, I run it again because nobody still, at least not that I've seen, has told us from whence this came. If it's new, old, or whatever, it's a great photo. I'd like to find out who the sailors were and call them up and do an interview, because it's a great shot. Obviously, they've shredded their kite. They've tried to get their jib down. I suspect the jib was down, and when the squall came through, it blew the jib up the forestay. Knowing that, I sailed J-24s, as did Andrew McIrvin, as he said on the show last week. So if anybody knows where that shot is from or who the sailors are, that would be great to know. Pindar is saying the pioneering extreme sailing series went through various iterations of commentary style. Hopefully someone is reviewing that interesting history in not reinventing the wheel. Interesting point. Good point, Andrew. And excuse me, Andrew, if you don't care or if you don't mind, maybe stick another comment in now or sometime or next time we get you on the show about what they finally centered on, what they finally came to, and whether it was good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah. Baton says that's several years old.
I think it is too, and I think it is too. But it seems to have, somebody must have posted it somewhere, because I got it from several of you. Alan Long saying it's an old photo. Now, David James, you may be right, David, because it does look kind of PNW-ish, Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
David is saying he thinks it's on the Columbia Gorge, which is famously windy. And that may be true. Somebody else speculated that or submitted it. Maybe it was. Okay, no big deal. It just cheers me up. This has been a pretty weird week in the U.S. politically, whether you're left, right, or center. And Julia, you get depressed, I get depressed.
Yes.
You got to admit, something like that cheers us up.
Yes.
I haven't seen a windshield for miles. You'll just have to hold it. Okay, the next one, get your finger ready. I'll watch the expression on your face.
Oh, but we saw that. That was last week.
No, I didn't run that on the show.
Oh.
No, I sent it to you, I think. Monkeypox, and this is apropos our discussion with Mr. Dr. McIrvin, and saying, the population and we've got some friends here in San Francisco who have friends or have themselves, it's not deadly, but they've gotten it.
And it's miserable.
And you get it from, from having intimate skin to skin contact, and it's going through the gay community, especially in cities like San Francisco where there is a big gay community. So this was a funny joke. Monkeypox protection. Now that we're dropping masks for COVID, now we maybe got to put them on. Otherwise, you don't want to shake your finger at that one?
No, I think it's too serious.
It's funny though, isn't it?
Yes.
At least it's not deadly. And I know I was talking with a friend who who's a bartender over at St. Francis, who has a friend or two who've gotten it, and one. This is the thing that's so strange about the disease, apparently, is that somebody gets it and they have no symptoms, no fever, no diarrhea, none of these other things, but they get the pox all over the place. And other people have terrible symptoms and never test positive, and maybe one or two little poxes. So who knows what it is? And it was interesting. I thought that when Andrew McIrvin told us, if you've had the smallpox vaccination, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he said,
no, he did say that.
You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to get monkeypox.
Yeah.
So all of us of a certain age, we've got that little star-shaped smallpox.
Except I don't have my scar because it never happened after 3 smallpox things.
But you had a smallpox vaccination.
3 of them.
Yeah. Well, I did too, so who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay, we get any comments about that? Does monkeypox make you grow hair as fast as Emmett? Okay, finally, a clean one. This was submitted by somebody you know. You can't eat that. It has nuts in it. Now, my left of center daughter, Meg Eamon, sent that because it has been a weird week here in the U.S. politically. And Meg says, proud member at San Diego Yacht Club down in San Diego, you can't eat that. It has nuts in it. Thank you, Meg, for that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into our show number 544, almost to 550, Julia.
Oh, we'll have to plan a celebration.
Why? It's just like age, it's just a number.
Just a number.
I got a final photo. This was on the front page of Sailing Anarchy today, and from my favorite town, and one of my favorite towns, if not my favorite town in North America, up in Tirana at the Etobicoke Yacht Club. I used to go to hockey school in Etobicoke. It was one of the first places in North America, at least, that had a triple rink, and now I think they have 6 rinks in this facility up there. A photo of their junior program at the Etobicoke Yacht Club by Melody Phillips, the instructor at that club. The dog days of August. Not much breeze. Even on Lake Ontario, thanks to Sailing Anarchy, where that appeared on their front page today. Julia, you're a witness.
Yes. Like, follow, and share, and especially share, because we introduce people to many people on that kind of tree.
Good thing our show's not going very long here. You struggle to get that one out. It's like
I
me
know.
at the top of the show. We need to do a warm-up here. I do, anyway.
Yeah.
Comments, too, are welcome, even in replay. If you are watching in replay, and many of you do, we appreciate any comments. We go back and look at them, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just still amazing, Julia, how clean everybody is. It's just unlike other sites where they have to limit comments.
Right.
Block comments. Not
Very
us.
seldom.
Very seldom. Support us on Patreon, please. Patreon.com/join Sailing Illustrated. Give us a few bucks a month. Help keep us on the air. Julia, final thoughts?
Happy sailing to everybody.
Happy Friday, right?
Yes.
And before you know it, we'll be into September.
Oh, I know.
And the best month of the year, my favorite month of the year, at least in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, September is usually a wonderful month, weather-wise, sailing-wise.
We haven't had summer yet here.
We never have summer here. It's high of 60 degrees.
I know.
Thanks, everybody that gave us material, video, audio, and image, photographic. Jonathan Frank saying, fantastic morning. He's in Tokyo. Hope you have a good flight back, Jonathan, with wonderful friends. We do have wonderful friends. We are so lucky to have the FOSI, Alistair Murray, including and especially you and John Emmett, who are regular contributors now. Thierry de Jong, thank you, sir. Stingray, thanks everyone. Best wishes for a good weekend. Gordon Smith, and on and on and on. Couldn't say it better. Hope you have a great weekend with the ones you love. We hope you can go sailing. And if you do, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now. You know, I had a picture here, apropos of this music.
Yep.
A beach scene that I didn't put in the show.
Yeah.
This is White Bay. I didn't run this. I didn't switch to it in the British Virgin Islands, Soggy Dollar Bay.
Right.
Soggy Dollar Bar. Look at that beautiful scene.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everybody.